because you get to know yourself in those hard moments. You start building your stack of undeniable evidence that you are who you say you are. You build your stack of undeniable evidence that you can do the things and accomplish things that maybe actually in your wildest dreams you didn't think you can.
Welcome to King Moves. In chess, the king moves one step at a time, but that single move can change everything. Each week, we explore mindset shifts and simple actions that could lead to the next breakthrough in your business and life. I'm your co-host, Ethan King, from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author of Wealth Beyond Money.
And I'm your co-host, Justin King, no relation to Ethan, from Cape Town, South Africa. Entrepreneur, speaker, and business growth strategist. Our journey crosses continents and cultures as we think out loud, challenge assumptions, and uncover the small moves that create big momentum. Welcome to King Moves. Let's start the conversation.
So Justin, I noticed on your LinkedIn, I've seen some new titles popping up here and there. Misogi coach, do hard things coach. We all know you just came off of this massive life-changing birthday run where you did 10 marathons in 10 days. So tell me, what are you exploring? What's going on here with the title changes?
Yeah, thanks, Ethan. I think the good word that you just used there is what am I exploring? Because that's what it is. I feel the dust is still settling after the 10 marathons. The swelling is still going down in the foot as well, and we're almost 2 months after it, but the dust is still settling up in my head as well. And I delivered a keynote around it last week. I got a keynote that's 10 lessons from my 10 marathons in 10 days. And that went really well. And off the back of writing that and putting the outlines to a book that I'm writing as well, which is all about doing hard things. Yeah, the idea of positioning myself more as this Misogi coach. And for those of you that are hearing that term for the first time, Misogi, I first heard it from Jesse Itzler, and it's this idea of doing one physically difficult, one physically hard thing every single year in our lives, something that we should only kind of be 80% or 70%, 80% confident that we'd be able to complete. That's the idea of the Misogi. And obviously sitting with this concept of the Misogi, my Misogi being the run that I did, having completed the run, I started realizing that there are a lot of hard things that all of us have to do in our lives all the time, and the importance of leaning into those. It's easy to shy away from them. And when I started looking at my own life, I've got a few things that I've had to work through. The one was a divorce. The other was exiting a business partnership. The other, which I put myself into, was running these marathons. A lot of the principles, a lot of the frameworks, a lot of the ideas, but all of the growth comes from the act of being in the moment, being in the difficulty, and then seeing the wood through the trees once you come out on the other side of it. And through that, I want to help people understand that doing difficult things isn't just about because we throw the words perseverance, resilience, grit, all of those things out all the time. And sure, there's an element of that, but true toughness and the ability to do hard things is how do you set yourself up to be able to make smart decisions in the moments of those hard things. And sometimes the smart decision isn't just the perseverance, the grit, the biting the bullet and getting through it. And I think that's the message that I'm wanting to really get across and help people understand. And by positioning myself as either a Misogi coach or a do hard things coach, I'm really wanting to work with people to help them work through those big things that they've got lined up. One part of it would absolutely, I would love to work with groups of individuals towards a Misogi every single year. So being a physical challenge that we want to take on, would love to do that. But the other Misogis that we are often having to work through are emotionally big things, the big decisions that we need to take in our personal lives, the big decisions that we need to take in our professional lives. And just having a framework and having a way and also to work toward those outcomes, those decisions that you need to make, I think it just takes some pressure off and not always just having the thought that I have to get through this hard thing literally just by biting the bullet. Or as the South Africans would say, you've just got to fuss bait through this. And that's not the case. Sometimes, as I say, that can be the detrimental approach to things. And that's why I'm playing with the idea and exploring the idea of positioning myself as that person, somebody who coaches you to a Misogi, somebody who coaches you to a decision that needs to be made. If I think of myself, I had some big decisions, like I just said, to make. And I lent on coaches to help me with that. I didn't just take it all on myself. I needed that external sounding board. But there were one or two little gaps in what I went through that I feel that now, having experienced what I have, having gone through the marathons as well, that I can start plugging those holes with real insight and actionable ways that we can approach a lot of these hard things that we need to tackle. Bit of a long-winded answer to your question,
Well,
and a
let me
little bit
ask you
all over
this.
the place.
Let me ask you this. What would you say is the benefit of going through this misogi, or going through this hard thing, coming out of the other side? If you had to put it in one or two words or a few phrases, tell me the benefit.
To know who you are. That's the truth. I've never felt. I kept saying I've never felt more me than when I was running my marathons, and it was
Self-awareness,
self-awareness. I suppose a
clarity.
sense of clarity, self-awareness, a sense of clarity, a sense of belonging, a sense of being able to make the right decision. That might sound strange, but when you're in it, you start getting that clarity as well. And for me, that's the benefit. So instead of shying away from these hard things, let's lean into them. Let's put ourselves in that position, but let's do it in a smart way. And what I mean by that is, I was having a conversation with an individual who's wanting to lean in and do a masogi, but I had concerns around what he was putting forward to me as his masogi, as just his idea was, how can I put myself in the pain cave in the deepest, darkest moments as quickly as possible? And that's
Mm,
not the premise of it. Like, we could put ourselves in, I could walk out the front door and go run in the main road. That's going to be damn hard and difficult, but I'm probably going to get knocked over, and it's not going to end well. Like, that's not a smart kind of challenge to set yourself. So the idea of a masogi, or idea of a big decision, is just also, it's just got to be on the outside of what your capability is. That's hard. It doesn't have to be this ridiculously tough thing where you're starting to set yourself up for failure. And let's not put ourselves into the position of feeling pain just for the sake of feeling pain, just so I can figure out who I am. It doesn't really work that way. I always say that you got to come back to three things. Be crystal clear on the why. Why are you doing this thing? So
mm,
why do you need to make this decision? Why do you need to take this challenge on? Then when you are in it, you got to keep a reassessment all the time. And my go-to was, is this discomfort or is it damage? Is this discomfort or is it damage? And that was on the physical side a lot of the time. It was, is this just a little bit of discomfort that I'm feeling in my knees or my ankle, or am I doing some permanent damage? And is that permanent damage going to mean that I'm going to enjoy the benefit of being able to run in a year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time?
uh-huh.
That that's not smart then, if I'm doing damage just to carry on because I've said I'm going to complete 10 marathons. And then the third part that I kept checking with myself was just around the relationships and the people around me. What is the position that I'm currently putting them in by continuing with this thing? Because that was important to me as well. Like, it was very much about me and doing it for me, but got to remember that the decisions that I'm making are impacting those around me. And I was feeling that it had a detrimental impact in any way on the people around me. To also relook at, is the smart decision in this moment then just to carry on and continue. So these are all the things that I've been playing with, and I've starting to put them into a framework. I put them into my 10 lessons for the talk, and I've started allocating them into chapters for a book, and ultimately building it into a framework, a coaching framework as well, that they can hopefully help people choose to lean into hard things, because I think it's incredibly important that we all do, and then B, stick to those hard things, but make smart decisions while we're in them. And sometimes the smart decision is to say, got everything that I needed from this experience. I've taken all the learnings. The right decision right now is to say, thank you very much. And number 7, I'm okay with that. I've got everything that I needed. Want to keep my ankle intact. I want to keep my relationships. And I really know who I am. And move on. That's smart. That's smart toughness. Just
Yeah.
carrying on for the sake of carrying on. Question marks over there.
But so what I'm hearing here is the end result is not only the clarity, but also a sense of accomplishment, like I conquered something. It's like you're proving something to yourself. This is how I'm interpreting it. It is the mental toughness, but it's more than just like the David Goggins. Like his promises. Oh, his name of his book is what? Can't Hurt Me, right?
Yeah.
He's always talking about he does hard things, but I think it's to prove a different point. Like I can withstand this. It's like I'm the hardest MFer in the world, right? That's his whole stick, right? That's not yours, but you're helping people push through this hard thing to come out on the other side. And what is that benefit? Because when it comes to marketing, one thing I've learned is that they say sell the vacation. So if I say, hey, we're going to go on a trip to Hawaii, I'm not going to tell you about the TSA and the long line and all the, you have to get patted down. Oh my God. Last time I went through TSA, I got the random cavity check and all of that. I was like, oh my, I felt violated. I'm not
You
going to
pay
put that.
extra, Ethan. You pay extra.
Yeah, I felt like the guy was having a little bit too much fun, but I'm not going to put that in my book about the trip to Hawaii, right? So I'm selling the dream, but I almost feel like yours is a little bit of the opposite of that, like lean into the hard because the reward is much sweeter.
Yeah, for sure. It's maybe part of it's I remember I distinctly remember in one of my early career, a CEO presented a financial report, and the words that he said to me, Justin, in this moment, you seem to be choosing easy over excellent. That's always sat with me for a long time, and we could reword that, Justin. In this moment, you might have chosen easy over hard, like leaning into the hard. And a lot of the times, going back to my examples that I used earlier, is the divorce. I walked away from something, exiting a business. I walked away from something, and that sat with me for a while. I don't want to say it has haunted me, but the question lingered that when things get hard, when things get difficult, when you're leaning into these difficult things, is your default then to move away from it, or is there something that would you would be able to lean into and really see it through? And that's why the marathons for me were so important. And it was about finding out when I got to that hard part, would I say enough's enough and exit? Or would I be willing to lean into it and really get to know myself and see it through to the end? And I did. But what came out for me is that I did it in a smart way. I didn't just David Goggins it. And I keep saying that it wasn't my approach. It wasn't just, I'm going to get through this no matter what. If I've got bone on bone and my feet are bleeding and I'm just going to, that wasn't it. And what I think I'm proudest of was the fact that I made smart decisions when it was hard. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I want to help people do is lean into the hard. Don't shy away from the hard because you get to know yourself in those hard moments. You start building your stack of undeniable evidence that you are who you say you are. You build your stack of undeniable evidence that you can do the things and accomplish things that maybe actually in your wildest dreams you didn't think you can. But once you
Mm-hmm.
put yourself in the position, geez, now I know that I can. But
Mm-hmm.
again, doing that in a smart way, just not just toughing it out for the sake of toughing it out, but always reassessing and then choosing to go again. That's important. Choosing to go again, choosing to go again for the right reasons, or choosing enough's enough, I'm going to step away. Because that is also sometimes the harder, that can often be the harder of the things to do than just gogginsing through it and getting it done at any cost.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to wrestle with. I'm always thinking about things from a marketing angle, and I want to jump into the marketing coach role for you and helping you to launch
Articulate
this
it.
new venture in your life. And because I definitely get it, and a lot of times it's hard for us to communicate something like I understand it. I'm a runner. I haven't done the 10 marathons like you've done, so much respect. But I get wanting to go out there and do a race. I get out there and run 6 miles every day, whatever it is, because I appreciate the benefit on the other side of that. One, I appreciate how I feel. I appreciate how I look. I appreciate the fact that I'm able to run and I want to keep being able to run and to have mobility. There's so many benefits that I could just rattle off where, yeah, it's worth pushing through the pain even when I don't feel like it. I'd lean into it. In fact, I miss it if I don't do the hard thing. Once you get to a certain point with it, if you're not doing something hard, you start to kind of feel like a lazy ass or like, what am I doing with my life? At least from my angle. So I definitely appreciate what you're doing, and I want to see more people lean into that. And we do need a coach, a mentor in that regard. I'm a big believer in coaches and mentors anyway. So I would love to see people sign up with you and do that misogi, whatever that misogi is. And it does it have to be Does it have to be physically related?
No, 100%. Like Jesse Itzler speaks about Masogi, particularly being this physical challenge, and that's why I also just call it doing hard things. But obviously, I have a special relationship with movement, physical activity. I've got a deep passion for it and a love for it, and I would love to see everybody leaning into a physical Masogi every year. For some people, that will literally be a 3 kilometer run. It might be climbing the small hill that's close to their house. It might be going to the local gym and swimming 20 lengths of the swimming pool. That may be their Masogi. That's amazing. It doesn't have to be multiple marathons or ultra marathons or anything of that nature. So that's number one. I do feel that people need to do that. But the second thing is we should probably all be challenging ourselves to make a hard decision in our lives every single year. Pull the trigger on something. I guarantee there's something that we're probably kicking the can down the road on. And
Um,
what it does by leaning into a physical masogi is it proves that you can do hard things. Or what it does when you learn a new language, it proves that you can do something that's not easy, that's challenging. Like learning a new language is hard. Like it's
right.
putting yourself out there. Learning it's one thing, and starting to speak it in front of people is awkward. And
Mm,
you know what I mean? Like that's a hard thing to do. So that's what I'm speaking about is all of these things. And the science also tells us, and I'm not going to try to remember off the top of my head the actual long term of the area in the brain, but it's the AMCC. And that's an area of your brain that actually physically grows when you do these hard things. And it's an area of the brain that controls and helps us with things like resilience, with willpower. So the more that we do them, the more your brain, your neuroplasticity is actually becoming conditioned to doing these things more, to being better at doing these things. Your body changes as you do these. So it's not just Justin saying. So in my talk, I speak about, so guys, why should we do hard things? Well, there's two reasons. The science tells us, and I'll speak about the ANCC. But then the bro science, which is Justin, the bro science tells us that we should do these things because I've come out off the back of it more confidence. I've come out off the back of it with a stack of undeniable evidence that I can. I've come off the back of it, not feeling like when things get hard, I tend to walk away, but knowing that I can lean in. So that in itself has changed my life. So there's the science aspect and there's the bro science aspect, but man, they all point us in the right direction of knowing more about yourself, proving that you can, geez, man, who doesn't want to know that when shit gets real, like you can stand up to it?
yeah. Yeah. It's a great feeling. I've been, I mean, think I told you about this. So did I tell you about, I ran out, I rented a car. I had a conference a meeting in New Jersey and I rented a car. So both of my cars here that I own are electric. So I haven't had to get gas in a long time. And so I rented this car and I totally forgot that I need to put gas in this vehicle. And I ran out of gas on the side of the highway on my way back to the airport to catch my return flight home. So I'm like, oh crap. So fortunately I had Google Maps. I looked for the nearest gas station and I ran to the gas station on foot. But you know what? I'm thankful because I can. Like that was the option for me. When I saw that, oh, it's just a mile away, I'll just run. Why would I wait for an Uber? That's going to slow me down. I might miss my flight if I wait for an Uber. It's faster for me to just run there, get the gas and come back. And that's exactly what I did. So yeah, being able to know and you're having that confidence in your mind, like, yeah, I can do this. I have this option. That is definitely a strength that I hope you'll give more people through your coaching. I think it's a very important thing to do.
No, I appreciate that. And maybe just another just very anecdotal story is I went skiing recently for the first time, snow skiing, not water skiing, and that was a completely new experience to me. I first of all, I felt alien. It was like an alien experience being high on the mountains that those types of mountains I hadn't experienced. The aliens amount of snow that I hadn't experienced as a coastal dwelling South African who thinks it's cold when it's 17 degrees Celsius. So like those are all things. But what I didn't expect was how hard it was to actually learn how to ski. I'm a relatively athletic individual, but man, it was challenging. And there were moments that the best version of Justin didn't come out on those slopes when it wasn't going my way. But I tell you what, the number of times my mind went back to 6 weeks prior or 5 weeks prior, whatever it was, to having just completed what was a hard thing and thinking, no, 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 no. Like, you've proven that you can do tough things. You're not going to allow your frustration over this just inability to be at the level of skiing that you wanted to be so quickly defeat you. And that would sit with me. And I would get back up and I would carry on. And by the end of the trip, I was managing a few of the red slopes, which was an amazing feeling.
Nice.
Again, it was this built-in stack of evidence that I've got that no, no, no. You are the type of person that's going to lean in when it gets hard and you're going to get it done. I wasn't perfect. My girlfriend will tell you that I wasn't the nicest person on the slopes some of the times, and the frustration got the better of me. But that's okay. But at the end of the day, I chose, okay, let's go up again and let's start this process again. So again, it was my AMCC had grown. My willpower and my resilience and my persistence had grown off the back of some of the things that I have done. And I would
Yeah.
hazard a guess that if I hadn't, I didn't have that, I might have said, no, the skiing thing is not for me. I can't get it right.
I think that's the direction most people lean towards, like, oh no, that's not for me. That's not my thing, and they don't even try it. But you pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone and mastering that, now you feel another sense of accomplishment. And I mean, I've never skied before, so much more respect for you now. I need to get out there, and I just haven't gotten around to it. Not a fan of cold weather, but those are excuses. See, I need to get out there and ski. And I know we're going long on this one, but I think it's an important topic. And I do want to point out to people that it's not always about the physical challenge isn't always about doing something strenuous. It could be the other way around. Because I met a young lady the other day who told me that she did a 10-day silent meditation retreat. And I thought to
Why?
myself, oh my God, like I would never do that. I'd rather run the 10 marathons, Justin, than have to be. Can you imagine sitting in complete silence for 10 days? The mental fortitude you have to do that? I need to be like, no, I can't. So much respect to that young lady. Didn't require physical exertion, but it required a lot of mental discipline. So maybe your Masogi, if you're listening to this, could be something along those lines.
Agreed. So many. It doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't have, even if it is physical, it doesn't have to be massively strenuous. I've said a million times, and I'll say it again, that I would choose to run 10 marathons over choosing to walk 10 marathons any day of the week. I would choose to run a marathon over walk a marathon. I experienced it having had to walk some, and huge respect for people that just get out there and walk. I mean, walking is, when you do it long enough, it's hardcore. It's hard. Again, doesn't have to be that, but I love the idea. Like, challenge yourself to silent retreats, challenge yourself to learning a new language, challenge yourself to finishing high school, challenge yourself to complete a short course. Those are all things that, considering our time constraints and what your situation may be, is going to be hard. And that is going to help you move forward. That is it.
100%. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your king move. Come up with your hard thing that you're going to do. You know what? Send us a message. We don't hear from people that often. Every once in a while we do. It might be in the form of a comment on a YouTube video or on LinkedIn, or it might be in the form of an email. But reach out. Let us know what hard thing you're going to do for your king move this week. That's a wrap for today's episode of King Moves. Remember, in chess, like in business, one right move can change everything. Take today's action step, make your move, and build momentum.
If you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready for their next breakthrough, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our weekly conversations. Until next time.